Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 15 of our F1 Manager McLaren career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend, ready for the Dutch Grand Prix. If you missed out on the pretty insane video that we had last week from Spa-Francorchamps, the Belgian GP, I would highly recommend going back and checking out. And I've got to be honest, I've been thinking about it over the last few days. It's kind of a shame that F1 Manager for a lot of people now is pretty boring because we're having some absolutely insane races at the moment. So for those of you that are still sticking around, it is greatly appreciated. I hope you're enjoying the content as well. But yes, we head towards Zandvoort though this weekend. Of course, last time around we were trying to make some big money moves in and around our staff departments there. We see obviously Simone Resta taken from Haas there. We are still potentially trying to look at some potential other members of staff that we can try and bring into the team. Of course, I know we were looking at a new head of aerodynamics last week. Of course, we were looking at, if I remember correctly, Diego Tondi or Enrico Balbo. We still need to try and make moves there. Of course, we have got one of the weakest head of aero in Formula 1 at the moment. Then Mitchell Kuma is not quite living up to the standard that I was hoping for. I think Diego Tondi is still absolutely the way to go, isn't he? $6 million, though, is a lot of money. So, of course, this is what we tried to offer him last time, like $4 million with a $350,000 signing on bonus. Can we try and up that and see if we can get him onto the team this time round? Let's send out another proposal to Diego Tondi. Still not happy with that sort of money there. We are spending a lot. Whether he's going to fix everything we possibly need is a very different question. $5.5 million? Will that do it in a $500,000 million signing on bonus? That's basically, again, all... he won't even talk to us at the moment, so that's a bit of a waste. So we'll try that again next episode as we head to Ferrari's home Grand Prix. But yeah, this weekend though, of course, we're back at Zandvoort. Of course, only a week break between Spa and the Dutch GP there. So after that, we've actually got a few new regulation votes and things like that ready for Season 2. But let's get into it though. Dutch Grand Prix time, of course. Sit currently P4 in the Constructors' Championship there. You can see 12 points ahead of Alpine. And then Drivers' Championship was still 10th and 11th there. Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris actually in a very tight battle for P10 overall still. So will we see another swing of momentum this weekend? Only time will tell.
It's another historic weekend of Formula 1 here at Zandvoort. The track has seen many unforgettable moments, like Gilles Villeneuve's three-wheeled lap at the 1979 Dutch Grand Prix, which cost him victory. What excitement lies ahead this year? There's never a dull moment at Circuit Zandvoort. It's fast, very fast, with long straights and wide curves. But it also features two heavy banked corners, where aerodynamic improvements are sure to help our drivers. With the season nearly concluded, time is running out for the teams. Can anyone make a last-minute breakthrough? Can the leading drivers hold on? Only time will tell. There's nothing like a race weekend in Formula 1.
Well, back at the Dutch Grand Prix then this weekend here from Zandvoort, and as we can see, again, another weekend with some nice dry running, of course. Belgium last week was pretty chaotic, so fingers crossed this weekend, of course, a much higher downforce circuit. Overtaking is going to be a lot more difficult as well, so it might mean that, of course, you know, some of the more boring races, I suppose we should say this year, have been around the higher downforce venues, of course, Monaco. As you would come to expect, of course, very much a bit of a snooze fest on F1 Manager. But again, as always, we'll make some tweaks. We'll try and get everything where we want it, and fingers crossed we can try and find a good balance with the car once again. We've been getting better with it in recent weeks. I feel like normally now we're able to get at least a good or an optimal score, so hopefully I've not just jinxed myself by saying that. So just quickly having a look then this weekend, we should be able to get away without having to put fresh components in either of the cars. Of course, Lando Norris on a pretty fresh power unit anyway after that collision in free practice last week out, of course, in Belgium. Still haven't quite forgiven Alex Albon for that one here on F1 Manager. But of course, Zandvoort's such a short circuit as well. We can get plenty of laps in, try and get plenty of data ready for the weekend. And of course, also try and make sure that both drivers are up to speed with all the new upgrades, of course, that we've been piling onto the car week in and week out. Pierre Gasly spinning off down at turn 1. Big gaggle of cars actually in towards that first corner. And luckily, everyone able to get around him there. You can see Ferraris, Mercedes, Red Bulls all wrapped up behind him there. Of course, we never really look at the timings here in free practice, but Max Verstappen, home GP, only down in P13 for him at the moment. We actually need to up the run plan slightly to make sure that we're getting full data from both of our cars as well. But the setups are slowly getting there as well. You know, we're making good progress with it, so this is always a good sign. Ah, no! That's not helpful. GG's, Oscar. Thanks for that. Is that him out of the session? I mean, that was an absolutely monstrous lockup down at turn 1. See, he's got a couple of cars fairly close behind him. Oscar Piastri there just does... I mean, he locks up immediately. Huge shunt into the wall then. The second big crash in a weekend in a row for McLaren there. That is going to cost us a fair old chunk of cash. Team, of course, gutted with it as well. But he's damaged that he's completely ripped off the front wing. He's completely out. A free practice 1 here. We've got a virtual safety car as well, which is going to hinder Lando Norris's running. But not the start to the weekend Oscar Piastri needed. And we're probably going to have to spend a load of money getting the car repaired, which I now can offer to Diego Tondi. Second time this year that Oscar Piastri has messed up in practice. There, of course, Le Castellet a few weekends ago decided he didn't fancy boxing for more fuel there. But Lando Norris then happy with his car setup, so we'll bring him in at the end of that lap. Difficult again, free practice, but that being said, last weekend we did score well still in the Belgian GP, and the high downforce tracks do tend to suit our car more. Well, less than 30 seconds left then of free practice here, and you can see Lando Norris back out onto the circuit. Yeah, he's pretty happy with the setup we've given him. We've just adjusted and made a few final tweaks to the car, but I think Oscar Piastri is just going to have to take Lando's setup ready for qualifying then and just kind of get on with it there. You know, it was his mistake. Big lock-up, of course, like we saw down at turn 1, and has really set him back. But it's going to have to do. Let's jump into qualifying then as the clock counts down to 0.
Welcome back to what is proving to be an exciting weekend of Formula 1 action, with practice having finished and qualifying set to follow. We've already seen a lot of excitement building since Formula 1 arrived in town, and today's qualifying is sure to be no exception. Success may stem from a well-prepared strategy, or a driver capable of incredible audacity. Put it this way, there simply is no surefire recipe for victory. Strap yourselves in. This is Formula 1.
Right, well, like I've mentioned many times before, hopefully we won't have to spend too much time looking at Q1. Kevin Magnussen, Esteban Ocon, Vettel and Latifi all with grid penalties there, as well as Lewis Hamilton in his Mercedes. Charles Leclerc, though, looking fast, of course, wants to try and ruin Max Verstappen's chances of a home Grand Prix victory there. But, yeah, Lando perfectly suited and set up ready for the track. Oscar Piastri there needs a little bit more work, but of course he'll have time in qualifying to get him up to speed. I think he's just going to, like I said, well, actually that setup's looking pretty good. He's quite happy with that as well. Lando Norris, yeah, very, very happy as well there, as you can see. So we should be good. Hopefully we can just blitz through Q1 and we won't have to worry about it too much. Well, Q1 then, as you would expect, it was the normal culprits going out. Both Astons, both Williams, and of course, young Mick Schumacher. Interesting to see whether he'll stay on the F1 grid ready for Season 2 of this series then. But, that being said, car not looking brilliant, at least by Q1 standards. There, Oscar Piastri only made it through in P15, although we did only do the one run with both cars there. So we have carried an extra set through into Q2, but Lando Norris there was still outside of the top 10 as well. Kevin Magnussen has set the benchmark, as hopefully he's going to stay out of the way as we head up the hill. Thanks for that. It's just those little things. It's those little things on F1 22 that still grind... Sorry, F1 Manager even. That still grind my gears at the end of the day. There's just those little tweaks that need fixing for the next game, because I really do think this is a fantastic formula that Frontier have got their hands on. But of course we all knew the first game round would just be, you know, sort of a bit of a testing, everything like that. But I really do hope they're really trying to fine-tune things. And of course I'd love to see a My Team feature as well, but that might be a couple more years down the line. I'm waffling, though, as Lando Norris comes round on his first lap there. Oscar Piastri will actually have a quick comparison of the times. Lando there, half second up in Sector 1, 3/10 up in Sector 2 as well, of course. All of Oscar Piastri's opening part was drastically hindered there, but still only goes 3/10 off K-Mag, so very, very good actually by him. So this should be quite a competitive lap time by Lando Norris. He rounds out the banking and then down towards start-finish line. That's going to be a 10-4, if I'm not mistaken there, 10-3. Goes quicker than Valtteri Bottas by 2/10. Where was that pace in Q1? That being said, though, it is our usual tryhards that have boosted themselves up the order there. Of course, you've got the big six, but Max Verstappen down in 6th place of that roster there. Slower than both Mercs after his first run there. Ferrari is still looking formidable at this stage of the year, but Oscar Piastri down in last place, P15 at the moment here in Q2, so hopefully he's going to be able to improve as he winds his way through the first couple of turns there. Of course, cycling up the gears, ready for the banking of turn 3 there. I do love the way on F1 Manager they do swoop around the outside there. Of course, I know I've moaned about it before on F1 22, but I wish the Highline worked on that game a whole lot better than it does at the moment. But Lando Norris has got a couple of tenths there, but Zhou Guanyu, Esteban Ocon, Valtteri Bottas, they should all be able to improve there. Kevin Magnussen as well is certainly going to be one to watch out for come the end of the session there, as both of our cars improving in Sector 1, but still Lando Norris 2 tenths clear of Oscar Piastri there. I think that's 3 tenths found, though, for Oscar as he winds his way in towards the second DRS zone. Of course, a very, very weird DRS zone. Not many places you can really use one around this circuit, but Kevin Magnussen has gone quicker than Lando Norris, as was to be expected there. Tsunoda, Zhou Guanyu not improving, so it really is a question of will Valtteri Bottas be able to go faster, as Lando is not finding time in Sector 2 at the moment there. Oscar Piastri again going even quicker, though. Has actually gone quicker than Lando through that middle sector up towards the line. Oscar Piastri will go still P15. Will Lando Norris be able to improve? He's down in the drop zone at the moment as Bottas has found time up towards the line. Lando Norris, he hasn't. He's out in Q2 for the Dutch Grand Prix there by 1,000th of a second to Kevin Magnussen. That has really put us on the back foot there. I was not expecting that. And look at that then. Both drivers out in Q2. Haven't had that in a little while, if I'm not mistaken, in this series there. And I'd hyped up the fact that this high downforce circuit might suit our cars, but apparently not as much as I thought it would there. Very, very close between a lot of the midfield runners, though. Gasly up in 7th, only quarter of a second clear of Lando Norris. So if we've got good pace in the race, we might be able to recover something. But a lot of cars with grid penalties as well should shift us up the order. Let's get into it. It's Dutch GP time.
Drivers are strapping themselves in, ready for race day.
McLaren did a decent job during qualifying. This is a solid grid position, and it certainly has the potential to lead to good race results. We saw a reasonable push from Mercedes in qualifying, and they'll have plenty of opportunities here to achieve a great result. And the clouds today look very ominous, which means that teams may have to contend with rain at some point during the race.
So it's time for some fighting between the sand dunes, here at the Dutch Grand Prix.
Here we are then, ready for the Dutch Grand Prix here today. 70 laps ahead of us around this venue, and I think, to be honest, safe strategies are going to be the key. There's always a good chance for safety car around a very, very high-speed circuit there. Lando Norris up into P9 on the grid. Oscar Piastri there starting in P12, but I'm also... Do I just take a little bit of fuel out of the cars? I'm going to take 1 lap worth of fuel out of them that they can try and save later on in the afternoon. We know how difficult it is to overtake around this venue. Fingers crossed today we can try and keep Lando in the points, get Oscar into the points, and keep trying to pull that gap over Alpine and Alfa Romeo. We just want to, build up sort of a 15-20 point buffer just so we know we're safe heading in towards the flyaway season.
A somewhat overcast day for the drivers, who've now taken position on the grid. And there's Lando Norris. They're in the front half of the pack, so there's plenty of potential for them. And it's the other McLaren. Slower than most yesterday, so today they'll be starting from the bottom half of the grid. Everything's been building to this. The drivers are ready, and the crowds are waiting. It's the Dutch Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
There we go then. Nice clean start by both of our cars. It looks like Piastri has dropped a little bit off of the cars behind, in front of him as we head down in towards turn 1 there. But Lando Norris hanging on to P13. They're side by side with Alex Albon in the Williams through the first corner. Make sure he doesn't go into the back of one of our cars just like he did last weekend. Side by side as we head in towards the banking for the first time. Surely Oscar Piastri is not going to get overtaken by Alex Albon early on in this Grand Prix as they power their way back up the hill. Looks like Lando pretty easy, safe and tidy in that ninth place. Of course, he's got a couple of cars he's going to have to battle with all afternoon, but there goes Oscar Piastri back through into P12 then of the GP, of course. You know, interesting. Crofty, you know, Oscar has been in Formula 1 now for half a year. Still doesn't know his name. He just calls him the other McLaren driver, which I do still makes me chuckle every single time. So we're going to try and push the envelope with Lando Norris early on there. As you can see, Fernando Alonso duking it out with Max Verstappen up into P6 for Fernando Alonso there, as he's still going to be side by side with the Red Bull car in towards the final sector of the lap there, as Valtteri Bottas into P5. I hadn't even noticed Bottas right at the front of the running there, as Hamilton going to have to monitor him later on in the afternoon. But yeah, the Dutchman really getting caught out behind some cars that you would imagine are going to be slower than his own today. And of course, this is another big weekend for Ferrari. After scoring big points last time out, Charles Leclerc came from pretty much the back of the grid to take home the dub in Belgium. They head into the second half of the year with a lot of momentum behind them. But like I said, we've got to try and push the envelope. Tyre strategy today looks like we've got actually a lot of those cars in front of us are on the soft compound tyres, the ones that we're going to be battling with. So might be softs to hards then for them. Of course, we're planning on going mediums to hards. There are 72 laps, of the Dutch Grand Prix. I only thought it was 70 for some reason there. But Oscar Piastri just trying to keep Alex Albon at bay as we wind our way up through the top of the hill once again. 1.5 kilos under on fuel isn't a huge amount that we should need to worry about throughout most of the afternoon. But it is going to be about trying to stick close to those cars in front. Maybe if Max Verstappen and Valtteri Bottas can continue to duke it out, that can allow us to stay close as sort of the whole gaggle behind them gets a bit stuck there. As you can see, the Dutchman trying to have a look for a move again on Valtteri Bottas. Bottas seems to be able to do a better job defending from him in an Alfa Romeo than he ever could in a Mercedes. Make of that what you will. Oh, this is what we wanted to do early on in the race, so try and break Zhou Guanyu out of that DRS that you can see behind Lando Norris. So that is really, really important there. I've taken a little bit more out of Lando's tyres just because I want to try and keep him in the range of Gasly and Alonso in front there, as Bottas is still not giving up this place to Max Verstappen there as well. You can see Piastri, he's sat in a bit of no man's land. I don't think we're going to need to worry too much about him early on until Hamilton carves his way through some of those other cars. Haas of Mick Schumacher shouldn't be much of a threat either, to be honest. If it was K-Mag, I'd worry. Mick, not so much there. See Hamilton trying to barge his way through as well on the Thai driver. Don't come to blows like they did in Brazil 2019. No, Albon, I think, is just slowly moving backwards there, but he's not going to give up on it. Back up the inside of the Merc he goes in towards the banking. Lewis Hamilton, 7-time Formula 1 World Champion. Alex Albon in his new team at Williams there, and he's not willing to back out there. But here goes Hamilton as we head back down in towards someone there. I guess there's a Crofty famous line in there somewhere, but Albon again tries it. Can't quite make it work though. And this all works nicely for Oscar Piastri, who is just slowly pulling away from these cars. Now has got round Oscar Piastri as well, as you would probably expect in this GP. Pretty easy move as he heads back down in towards turn 1. Oscar Piastri, it's not really a fight worth having, is it, at this stage of the day? If he could try and stick close to Lewis, that would have been nice, but Mercedes are looking very, very fast here. A bit like they were in real life 2022. Certainly a track where they're more competitive, as team gutted, I guess. But yeah, won't be long, of course, before he gets up towards Lando Norris. This is probably going to be a race that has to come towards us later on. Bottas still ahead of Max Verstappen, though, up towards the front of the order there. He's actually able to keep up with George Russell as well. So Mercedes a future alongside Mercedes past, all trying to defend from the one that ruined their current. Guess Formula 1 has a funny way of going full circle. Well, it has been a valiant effort from Bottas early on in this GP, but Max Verstappen has now crept past him and up into P5 of the GP. But Lando Norris now back behind Pierre Gasly and Fernando Alonso here. Like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what strategy those cars go with this afternoon. What is the tyre life looking like on those cars? Already down in towards the 60% mark there. I'm surprised that Carlos Sainz, as he's not even anywhere near Charles Leclerc at the front of the field, despite being on the softer compounded tyres. Of course, Sainz still leading the way in the Drivers' World Championship there. He really has had a spectacular run of form throughout the first half of the year, just always picking up the big results and able to maintain himself, compose himself under a lot of pressure early on in the campaign. But this weekend, Charles Leclerc again is just, we do still get those glimmers from Charles Leclerc where he just puts Sainz away on a weekend. Maybe this is going to be another one of those. Now, Lewis Hamilton has closed up to the back of Lando Norris as well in this GP there. Again, he's going to have a bit more to defend himself with than Oscar Piastri did, of course. But I might try now, see if we can push the envelope, see if we can try and get past Gasly as we head back down in towards Turn 1 there. Shame we're pretty much out of battery. It's not going to stop him looking for it, but Lando Norris is going to have to go on the harvest this lap. We'll try it again there as Hamilton's still waiting in the wings. But yeah, Piastri just losing touch with Fernando Alonso. I think we've got to get on with it. Oh, Hamilton muscling his way to the inside of Lando Norris through the final corner. It's not really the battle I wanted at the moment, but Lando Norris not wanting to give up on it just yet. In fact, you know what? We will give up on it as we head back down in towards someone, or hoping we were going to give up on it, as Lando Norris then will slot back down into P10. But if Hamilton can move past Gasly, we might be able to just follow him by. It really has taken a lot longer in this Grand Prix than I'd ever hoped it would, but Lando Norris then to the outside of Pierre Gasly as we get to 1/3 distance, swoops around the outside of the AlphaTauri car through Turn 1, but Pierre Gasly is not going to make it easy for him off the exit of the corner, but Lando Norris now up into P9 once again then of the GP. 3 seconds up to Fernando Alonso up the road. Let's keep trying to push and close in that gap then on the Alpine car. Oscar Piastri there, just a quick update on him. Kevin Magnussen is now the car behind him, so we might just need to try and push on a little bit more. Carlos Sainz first car into the pit lane then, so it might not be long before we see plenty of the other soft compound runners into the box there. Bottas has really fallen away from those front runners as well, so it probably is not long before his tyres get towards the cliff there, as just bringing both of our cars back down onto normal fuel mode. There we go, Bottas and Alonso both into the pit lane then. Luckily, we're not going to come out anywhere near Carlos Sainz. Don't really want him holding us up, but probably only going to be a handful of laps before we dive into the pit lane then, so we can afford just to really just absolutely take the life out of these tyres. Of course, we'll still have an advantage later on in the afternoon. Soft tyres I just never thought were really going to work around here, as Oscar Piastri are now up into 10th place as well. We should also save the fuel by the end of this one without really having to do much work at it, so that's reassuring to see as well. Charles Leclerc into the pits though from the lead, of course started on those medium compounded tyres, so he's now going hard to the checkered flag. I want to try and get these tyres down to about 40%. If we can basically do half a race on them, we'll have done pretty well there. As now Oscar Piastri, Kevin Magnussen still closing in on him, but he's now got Bottas and Alonso behind him. So I'm really hoping Magnussen, the Danish spirit, can come out once more there and try and keep those cars at bay. As George Russell even heading back out of the pit lane. Then Lando Norris running in 6th place at the moment, as Hamilton a little bit further up the road. I'm going to ignore that for now, but it will only be a matter of a couple of laps before we get both cars into the pits. Kevin Magnussen as well into the pit lane though at the end of that lap, so now Bottas and Alonso are going to be on hot pursuit of Oscar Piastri. Just got to try and keep him at bay, but this is F1 Manager, so if you tell your driver to hold the cars back, he normally gets worse at it. Oh, multiple cars have crashed. We've got a virtual safety car. What's gone on? You can see an Aston Martin towards the rear of the field going slowly, so now we've got to try and get both cars into the pit lane then on this lap there. Potentially not quite a free stop, but certainly a lot better, as let's have a look what's happened then. So much going on all of a sudden here on F1 Manager. Don't say it was the Aston Martins that came together. Lance Stroll down the inside of his teammate. Oh no, he's locked up and he's just, that's painful. Lawrence Stroll will not be happy. It might be crystal clear to you and I who's in the wrong, but it certainly won't be down there. So Lando Norris then is going to peel into the pit lane at the end of this lap. I'm going to try and get Oscar in as well, but of course he might, the VSC might be disabled before he comes in. But this could be absolutely critical here. This could really leapfrog. I mean, Lando Norris could now be into P7 of this Grand Prix, comfortably ahead of the cars he was battling with. But Oscar Piastri as well, it might give him a bit of a lifeline for the second half of the afternoon as well. There is, of course, like I said, both cars lifting and coasting, saving some fuel, saving loads of battery as well. It will be super handy later on in the day, as Hamilton, of course, like I said, will overtake Lando Norris. But is he going to come out ahead of Bottas? And I think he will in this Grand Prix there. So that's worked out really nicely for us. It's going to be close with Bottas on pit exit, as no, he won't. In fact, Bottas will get round him. Will Fernando Alonso as well? They're going to be very, very close on pit exit. Alonso will just about get him off the corner there, but it has worked out nicely for both of our drivers. Of course, they're going to be on fresher tyres right the way through to the checkered flag. Oscar Piastri heads back out of the pit lane then, so that has worked out really nicely for us. Piastri still in P13, but Lando Norris then running nicely. Just going to bring them both back into neutral modes there. As how has he not saved any battery under that virtual safety car? That has not done us any favours, but we are green flag racing once again. Lando Norris already all over the back of Fernando Alonso, and he's going to have only about 6% better tyre wear to the end, but it will still be an advantage. So already I think we've just got to try and get on with it with Lando Norris as we round our way through the final corner. Don't want to be sat looking at the Alpine logos for the rest of the afternoon. DRS activated as he heads back down in towards turn 1. Will he be able to have a look to the inside? He's going to send it on Fernando Alonso there, down in towards turn 1. Not quite able to pull off the move that time round, but he's going to... I'm going to leave him on the overtake mode as we head around the banking there. Through turn 3 he goes, around the outside of Fernando Alonso. Will he be able to get the drive off the corner as we head up the hill? He's going to get to the inside. Alonso, a big old squeeze there from the very, very experienced Spaniard as they go side by side up towards the top of the hill. Lando Norris surely not around the outside through there. That would be an audacious move, but Fernando Alonso gives him racing room. This is fantastic racing between the former McLaren driver and the one that replaced him. But Lando Norris not giving up on it. Down the inside he'll go, in through the next corner there, and I think we have now just about pulled off that move, and up into P8 then of the Grand Prix. A critical move to make at this stage of the day. We've got to try and get up towards Bottas as well now. Make sure we get inside his DRS range, but we've now also got no battery again, which is going to be difficult. Oscar Piastri has been given a freebie. Yuki Tsunoda has just spanned down at turn 2. Always nice to claim a free one. Oh, very, very lucky to keep it out of the wall there was Yuki Tsunoda. Just ran a little bit wide, couldn't quite get the car tipped in through the camber. So P12 now for Oscar. Kevin Magnussen, though, is closing in. We're going to try and see if we can get closer to Pierre and Zhou Guanyu, although the gap is about 10 seconds. Oh, someone's binned it. Who's gone off the circuit? It's an Aston Martin again. They are having a disaster this weekend, and we've got a safety car. So Oscar Piastri, I'm going to box him straight now onto a fresh set of medium tyres then. Lando Norris, I don't think it's going to be worth pitting because he's just gone past pit entry. As Stroll, what has he done then in this Grand Prix? He's already crashed into his teammate today. It has been a disastrous weekend for Sir Lance, and he's done what Oscar Piastri did in qualifying there. Big, big shunt. Somehow only lost half a front wing from it. But Lance Stroll, he is having an absolute mare here. But, of course, the team can't complain because it's his dad's money that's making sure they all go home and can feed their families. Where is Oscar Piastri going to re-emerge in this Grand Prix? We'll have a tyre advantage right the way through to the checkered flag, but not the easiest place to overtake at this Dutch GP circuit. It is a bit of a gamble, but he's outside of the points anyway. As Stroll, yep, confirmation there, he is out of the Dutch GP. Oscar's going to lose 2, maybe 3 places then. It's going to be tight between him and Mick Schumacher on pit exit. I think Mick's going to have him though, as the AI are really hesitant on pit exit here. I don't know why. P16 for Oscar though, P8 still for Lando Norris, as I was actually about to say he wasn't closing up to Bottas in this GP, but now he's been given a chance. Safety car coming in at the end of this lap, but unfortunately Oscar Piastri, where he's gone a lap down, it hasn't given him enough time to close back in there, so I think he's pretty much down and out of this one this afternoon. Lando Norris will get him back onto the balanced mode there. I mean, Oscar, we can pretty much just leave him on aggressive fuel pushing, tyre wear usage between now and the end of the GP, but he's only sensibly going to be able to recover back to P12 in this GP there. But Lando Norris then in the big train as we round the final corner. 26 laps worth of racing here to go from the Dutch GP, as Charles Leclerc will lead the way ahead of Carlos Sainz there. Sergio Perez in P3, but it's given Max Verstappen a bit of a lifeline, as well as Hamilton, who of course was right at the rear of the field. But green flag race again once more as we head back down in towards turn 1. Lando's just got to go for it. We've got to go absolute push mode off this restart, try and claim any freebies that we possibly can. And of course the big one is we try and get around Valtteri Bottas there. As you can see, up the inside through turn 2 there, has immediately been able to switch the pace on, but Bottas isn't going to make it easy for him as we head out of the corner there. But Lando Norris, you can see, able to put the power down in that McLaren car. Will he be able to apply some pressure to Lewis Hamilton as well? I don't think it's probably in our best interest to really go for it. That Merc, I think, probably a bit too fast this afternoon. If we can try and hang with him, it would be quite nice. But P7 is sensibly, I think, the best result we can realistically get in races like this. But that being said, if we get another safety car, Oscar Piastri is in a very good position at the moment. Of course, on those fresher tyres, of course, we could just box him again if that happened. But Lando Norris then up into best of the rest. It's exactly what we want to see. Back to start lap 50 then. DRS, of course, re-enabled in this Grand Prix. There's Steve Verstappen still stuck battling the Mercs as he watches his teammate and those Ferraris pull away. We've now got Bottas at the DRS range, though, as tyres overheating. We're not using the tyres anymore than normal there, but might just have to manage that a little bit late on in the day. We'll go another lap on the deploy for Lando Norris, then just try and break Bottas out of that DRS once and for all. As tyre life, we have still got a tiny advantage over pretty much all the cars behind us. That is so important in this GP. Oscar Piastri then making moves on Mick Schumacher. Should have been a fairly simple one there, around the outside, down the back straight. Mick Schumacher there very hesitant into the braking zone, but that's what you get on fresher, quicker tyres than the cars in front of you. And I mean, 20 laps to go. The Merc still battling it out with Max Verstappen. He's just completed a move on George Russell. Could we still potentially get in the mix here? Let's wait and see. Gap to Bottas open up to 1.6. That's really important. But I'm not going to say this is over just yet. Sit rep then, 10 laps to go of the Dutch GP. I think we are now going to say it is all over for Lando Norris by potentially hassling those Mercs there. Like I said, just hasn't quite got the pace this weekend. You know, Merc are really actually a lot closer to Red Bull and Ferrari than we've seen on quite a few occasions this year. But he has nicely opened up a 3-second gap to Valtteri Bottas. It's a bit of a shame, of course, that the game doesn't allow the backmarker cars to catch all the way up to the safety car. Because, yeah, if I'd remembered that again, we probably wouldn't have pit Oscar Piastri. I'd just sort of seen what he could have done late on in the day. But both cars with no one really around him at the moment. I think we've just got to try and bring home the solid 6 points on Lando's side of the garage. But it will also mean, of course, in their little championship squabble, that he re-jumps Piastri once again. Oh, 2 laps to go. I think Albon's binned it. What's going on? Late on in the day, here in Zandvoort, we can see, I think that, no, it must have been Latifi who's done, I mean, it's clearly what the Canadians do down in Turn 1, and Oscar Piastri. I'm not going to try and claim he's scot-free on this one. Another huge lock-up, though, in towards that first corner. Will it be another safety car? I mean, there's only 2 laps to go, so it is going to completely kill off the end of, there wasn't really a lot going on, to be completely honest, in this Dutch Grand Prix. But no, apparently Latifi still out there running with half a wing, so I guess we're going to the flag. Well, that then here for Charles Leclerc at Zandvoort, and it really has just been a weekend where he knows he needs to win, so he's kind of just gone, you know what, Carlos Sainz, you're still the number 2 inside this organisation there. It has been absolutely dominant by Charlie Boy. They're quickest in all 3 qualifying sessions. Set fastest lap today is, I'm pretty certain, led every single lap of the 72 here from Zandvoort. And of course, yeah, Max Verstappen, I'm sure, will really be kicking himself, finishing not only behind the Ferraris, but also behind his teammate by the end of this one there. Oscar Piastri will be the last remaining car not to go a lap down as well. So very happy with that by him, especially, of course, after that pit stop late on in the day there. Yeah, we kind of tripped him over, but I don't think he was really going to score points anyway this afternoon. Just, yeah, struggled after that mistake in free practice, has lacked pace all throughout the afternoon. And again, you know, the difference between him and Lando Norris is just those little, you know, those couple of extra tenths that you need that Lando Norris is constantly able to find there. You know, we pounced on Valtteri Bottas there, who've been rustling the feathers of the top runners early on in the GP. But Charles Leclerc crosses the line, 26 points here at Circuit Park Zandvoort. Very happy, I'm sure, with that result come the end of the day. It's going to be another Ferrari 1-2 as Sainz championship leader. I think he will still hang on to the lead of the title, but he'll come through for P2 there. Lando Norris rounding his way in through the stadium section to finish the final lap of the Dutch GP. Their best of the rest once again is super important for us, means that we just continue to eke out that gap over the Valtteri Bottas there, Alonso and Pierre Gasly. Would be interesting to see who of those 4 drivers will finish out best of the rest come the end of the season as well. There were 6 points to add to his tally. Very, very happy with that as well. There, Oscar Piastri round in the final few corners as well. We'll go full attack mode with him through the final sector, because why not? Of course, the Orange Army once again out in their droves, but yeah, I'm sure a little bit gutted with the way that one's finished out for the homeboy there. But we'll claim it's for McLaren come the checkered flag. Round in the final corner, Oscar Piastri P15. Another disappointing afternoon, but we couldn't really do a lot else with it.
Okay, we'll take the checkered flag.
Lando Norris can be proud. What a fantastic performance from him. McLaren have shown some serious chops here. A good result for the team from Surrey.
It's really wonderful to see all the hard work they've been putting in paying off like this.
And after this result, the team is 4th in the constructor standings.
We now look ahead to the next round in Monza in Italy. The Temple of Speed is waiting and the teams will be ready and raring to go.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Dutch Grand Prix. And Charles Leclerc takes the win ahead of Carlos Sainz there. Perez in P3 ahead of Verstappen. Hamilton, a very, very good recovery drive there from 16th on the grid, beating out George Russell. Lando Norris best of the rest ahead of Bottas, Alonso and Pierre Gasly, our final points finishers there. Disappointing day for Oscar Piastri, like I said, but don't really think he could have done a lot more else with it come the checkered flag. Means championship-wise, though, Sainz's lead at the top of the table does come back down to 19 points as we leave the Dutch GP there. Max Verstappen in P3, still 16 points now behind Charles Leclerc. It really is looking like he might not be able to defend his crown as we head in towards the final few races. Alonso jumps Gasly based on count back there. You can see up on 52 points apiece. Lando Norris back inside the top 10 overall in the title, 3 points once again ahead of Oscar Piastri there. But I mean, Bottas still 20 points clear of any of the other midfield runners there. He is having an absolutely fantastic display throughout his first season with Alfa Romeo. Constructors-wise, Ferrari could continue to build up that gap at the top of the table there. Red Bull still in second ahead of Merc. We're still in 4th place there, a 16-point lead now ahead of Alpine, but Alfa Romeo just 1 point back behind them as well. It is not going to be easy between now and the end of the year there. AlphaTauri in 7th, Haas really surprised still that they've scored as few points as they have throughout this campaign. It often feels like they're right there or thereabouts. But thank you all so much for watching this video. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well, and we'll be back very, very soon with more F1 Manager Career. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.